Our topic is to look at how we can integrate the role of each stakeholder to get the best out of it. So in order to reduce the post-harvest losses, we need to play an important role from the government side. We need to play an important role from the scientists. We need to play an important role from the NGOs, private sectors, and also from the farmers. So at the moment, what is happening with all the stakeholders are working independently. So they are not having feedback mechanisms, so how effective is our policies, or how effective is our technologies and other things. So if you look at the post-harvest losses are great, but we are not tackling in an appropriate way. I can give you one example of what happened in the Green Revolution. In Green Revolution, what happened? We got the strong policies from the government side, from each country. We got the new technologies, use of good seeds. We got the good technology, how to manage, how to make a strategy to manage plant diseases, and everyone knows about the results. And we got the better output from those using these technologies. In the post-harvest approach, if you look at it, most of the governments in every country, they are talking about food security. Their priority areas are food security, but they have major emphasis on growing more and more crops. Do you think they're growing more and more crops on the cost of the environment and other factors are viable options? I think it's not. Why don't we look at the other approach, whether we can save 30 to 50% of the losses which we have already produced it. And in every policy, the government putting more emphasis on how we can implement policies to produce good crop, to produce more yield or something. But recently you can see some trend from the government side. So they are putting slight emphasis on the reducing post-harvest losses, which is good. In other hand, the governments are making policies which is very good to hear it, but it's very difficult to implement in the real world. In other hand, scientists are working independently. They always think about the scientific merit of the innovation. They always think about the scientific recognition in the scientific community. They don't talk to the government, they don't talk to the farmers what their need is. And in the post-harvest, we really need to listen to the grower, we listen to the farmers, and we have to tailor-make the solution for the specific reason. We can't use the technology what we are using in Europe, in Africa region. So scientists need to, in other hand, NGOs and private sectors, they are not very comfortable to invest some money on the new technologies because they have no evidence-based study. Smallholder farmers, perception. I have been talking to the many farmers. They think about that when we are getting 100 kilograms of fruits, and I'm talking about fruits and vegetables, and they think that 20% will be lost. It's inevitable. So they are not aware of any technology which can reduce these things. The simple methods like cooling technology, when I have been talking to some farmers in the Southeast Asia region, this can delay the ripening. Yes, it can delay, but they are not aware of it. They say, no, we can't avoid 20%. In their register, they say out of 100%, 20% will be lost. This is a perception. You need to change it. So what is the important role here? So we all are working independently. We need someone means the organization who's a very dynamic, who's a very versatile organization, and at the same time who's very financially strong, which can support the financial cost of the project, who can bring together all stakeholders, NGOs, government, scientists, and farmers, sit down together, look at their policies, look at the farmers' need, and then tell to the scientists, this is what we want. It's not like other way around. Like scientists always think about the scientific merit, or scientific recognition. No, what the farmers need is, and what is actually the requirement for the particular reason. Whether this technology is feasible for a particular reason. There is no one-word solution. There is no one single solution. No, we have to think over holistic approaches. Look at the local needs, look at the farmers' needs, look at the geographical needs, and then feedback to the scientists. Okay, this is what we want. Can you do something? Can you think about that? Scientists always think about capacity building, scientific merit. NGOs, most of the farmers or growers or producers, they are not transforming information from the government or this scientist side to the farmers. Another way I can say that the private sector is also not very much comfortable to put money. Why? Because they can't see much impact on it until now. Now they have started putting money. They want more on producing seeds or other stuff. So convener is the person who can play a role, who can bring all together. When they can bring all together, You can see here, provide a platform. Government can hear all of them. They can formulate a policy. For a simple example, I can say that adoption of the new technology. There are many technologies available, and that is the reason why we have a very less post-harvest losses in the European countries or in America or in the developed country, because of the technology. I'm not talking about food waste, I'm talking about post-harvest losses. So it's evidence that they are not losing much, but in the Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa or the Southeast Asia or Asian region, we are losing 30 to 50%. It means that there is a technology, but the farmers are not using it, or maybe it's not feasible because of the cost, because of the not user-friendly. So bring all the stakeholders and sit together and listen to needs of the farmers, design the technology, tailor-made the technology, and sit together with the government. Government has to employ a strong policy. No, you have to use these things. Government can subsidize this technology in the first few years. So make farmers comfortable to use it and see the real impact. Okay, if I am using this technology, simple, like I'm working on edible coatings, which is a very simple technology. It's based on the principle same as the controlled atmosphere and modified atmosphere, that the ultimate aim is to minimize, to mimic the effect of modified atmosphere. So we don't have to use controlled environment, we don't have to use low temperature. So this is a simple technology which can use in particular region. So these are technology we can adopt it, and we have to enforce from the government side. Use it. If you are losing something, we will be able to pay you your return. So this NGO can train. NGO is a group of people who is a psychologist, who is a technologist, because when you are dealing with small farmers, you need to understand their psychology. You need to understand their perception. They have very old perception about doing their things, so they are not easy to change those things. So we need people to change their mind setup and to encourage them to use this one, to make them more comfortable. And by doing this, we need to sign a memorandum of agreement. We already have a memorandum of understanding by talking to each other. Memorandum of agreement means to make sure everybody knows what government has to play the role, what is the other stakeholders have to play a role, and whatever the things we have invented in the lab, we have to show the evidence in the pilot scale study. That's what we are talking about bringing together. So as a scientist, what it does in the lab, normally they receive money to do things in the lab, and their output is to good publication. Second is the capacity building, to produce good PhD student, to produce good postdoc. That's enough. When it want to go to the next step on the pilot scale study, there is no funding. The government don't bother about that, and other organizations, they don't bother. They just talk about scientific community. So we need somebody, we need a funding to do the pilot scale study, to validate your result, to show to the people, to showcase your project, to showcase your evidences, and make a business plan. So if you are using this technology, how much you get the profit out of it, and how it can delay your ripening, how much you can enhance the shelf life of the produce. So make a business plan. This is what we want, and then make a research and development and demonstrate the technology in the real world in this step. And this is how we can solve the problems of the post-harvest losses. If you look at the FAA data, I'm talking about just fruits and vegetables on perishable product, we have enough what we need. We are producing so much of fruits and vegetables, so if you look at the dietary requirement, the daily requirement of each individual, we are producing more than that. But in the real world, what is happening? We are not getting it at the end. In some part of the world, we are not getting enough fruits and vegetables. In other part of the world, we are getting too much. It means that there is some problem in the supply chain. So it's not a system. My point was there to show the supply chain from the producer at the end of the consumers. So if you look at this supply chain, there are different categories: harvest, marketing, storage, retailers, secondary retailers, and at the end of the consumers. So we have enough supply, we are more than enough we are producing, but at the end we are getting very less. So our ultimate aim is to strengthen this supply chain, provide a platform, or strengthen the system so we can get what we are producing at the end, at the consumer end. So just at the end, I would like to say, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much.